Brian, everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So, excellent. All right. Today we'll be talking about textures or and materials, basically. And if you ask me, I would say that's partly one of the most important things you need to learn in Blender, or even if you'll be proceeding in Unity or game development in the 3D workspace, you need to know about materials and textures. All right, it's very important. So without much ado, we'll be diving into that. I'll be sharing my screen in a minute. Um, all right, so please let me know when you can see my Blender, my screen. I'll need some audio feedback, so because I'm not really viewing the the meeting page.
We can see your screen.
All right, okay, fantastic. Okay, so textures, and materials and textures basically in Blender. All right, so notice that everything we've been doing so far, it has always been like having this grayish texture. And I mentioned very briefly in the last class about adding materials. Just I added a color or something like that to the monkey head. But basically, everything we're doing has retained this grayish color. But how do we go from having this grayish color to having a finished product that has the full color? How do we go from there to there? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So um, basically, if you open up Blender, or maybe let me delete this. Let me just read it. By default, most materials will have nothing, no texture on them. So how do you add textures to a material? Let's say um a gray block here. To see what kind of material is on the object you're working with, you want to go into the material viewport. Okay, and I showed you how to do that in the past classes. So you can either tap the Z button. Okay, let me bring up my screencast keys. Okay, screencast keys. Okay, good. So you can see what I'm pressing on my keyboard. Okay, so you can either tap the Z button on your keyboard. It will bring up this ring menu where you can see rendered, wireframe, material, and solid view. So by default, anytime you're in solid view, you have this grayish object, right? So if you tap Z, if you want to see the material that are on your object, or the textures or the material that are on the object, you come to material preview, and then you click on it. All right. So by default, any new object in Blender will have a whitish material sort of assigned to it. That's a default material. And as a matter of fact, it's not even displayed in the material. It doesn't really, it's just like a placeholder material. Okay. So how do you add a material? Let's say you want to create a cube, a green cube, for example, or you want to change the color. So that's the very basic step, right? To add that, you just come to this side panel here. You want to go to the one that looks like an orb, like that has like a checkered orb, sort of. So you want to click on that, to click on it, and it will bring up something like this, and then you click on new, right? If you hover your mouse over it, if you hover your mouse over it, to show you what it's about, right? To add a new material, so you can just click on new, and then you have a new material added. All right, so you can click this drop down for a preview, so that you can see what the preview is. And the reason for that is, let's say if you are in solid view, meaning you cannot see the material that you're adding. All right, so whatever changes you make here, you can see how it affects the material and how it interacts with light, etc., so I can know what it look like on your object when you actually render it. Okay, so this is just to preview the material of what you're working with. So, but for now, I just want to go into the material view so that we can see what's happening in real time also. So we want to make our cube, let's say we want to make it green or whatever color, right? So you come to this base color here. I'll be showing you two ways to do this, but the first one is the first way is to operate in this window here. That's this window here. The second step is, which I would advise you, second way rather, which I would advise you, and which most people will use anyways, is using the node shader, node editor viewport, right? Node editor basically. So to change the color here, you can just come click on this color and change it to any color you want. You can see that the color is affecting it in real time, right? So I don't know, maybe red, a little bit shiny, like in your face, but it doesn't matter. All right, so we have red. All right, so if you want to change other properties, you can change them here, but I will explain these properties in the node editor. So the node editor is basically the same thing here, right? But it's in a more procedural form. Let me show you how the node editor looks like. So by default, there are layouts here in Blender that are up here. So you can just by default,
We lost Mayo, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see him as well on my end.
Okay.
Hello, Mario. Are you here? Okay. Apologies, guys. We'll be back.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes, hello everybody. So sorry about that. I had a small network problem from my hotspot, so it got disconnected and I had to reboot. All right, sorry about that. Okay, can we all hear me, please? I need some audio feedback.
Yeah.
All right, good. So please, can you please tell me what was the last thing you heard me say before it broke? I didn't know at what point it got disconnected.
Yeah, you showed us the color using the first method, and I think you selected red. And you now said although the best method to use is using node geometry, but you would go over that once you're done with this first step.
All right, good. All right, excellent. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I showed you how to do it in this node editor here, but I told you that the best way to, which will most likely be how you'll be adding materials and working manipulating materials, is in the shader editor, right? That's the node editor. Okay, so I said node editor, not geometry node. Okay, so geometry node is something else, but it's still under the node editor workplace. But yeah, So to get to that layout, you can simply click, it looks like a shortcut way of getting it. Just click on this shading and to bring up this window layout, right? So we have the viewport here with the material view, and then you have below here, you have something, you have some like some user interfaces, basically like some settings box something thingy. All right, so you have them here. So these are called nodes, right? So these are the nodes, right? So that's what you'll be using. So I'll explain it in a bit. Don't get intimidated by this. So notice that what I did the other time was to change the color to red. All right. So notice that everything that you have here is the same thing you have here in this principal BSDF. So in this, under this surface, you have the principal, of course you have the base color, metallic, roughness, IOR, alpha, blah blah blah. Same thing here. You have base color. Let me zoom in. You have base color, metallic, roughness, IOR. So this kind of like, say graph, not really graph, more like a node way of representing the same thing. All right. So it's like a visual way here, a visual way of representing the thing on the right. All right. So personally, this is better because you can easily see what is connected to which and what is connected to which, and easily follow that workflow. Otherwise, this one can be very confusing sometimes. Okay, so whenever you want to add a color or a texture to a mesh, you likely want to start with something like the principal BSDF. Now there are so many different ways of adding textures to it, so many ways depending on what kind of texture you want to add, right? So if you want to make this cube something like a metallic object, what you will do is you come here. So I'll explain all the features here in a minute. So you will come here, you see this attribute here, this attribute called metallic. You increase it from all the way to 1. What I did was I just clicked on it and dragged all the way to 1. You can actually just type in the number also, right? So I just type in 1 or something. Now this is 100% metallic, but notice that it doesn't really look so much like a metal, or it's more like a rough metal-ish. So what you do to that is you can just reduce the roughness. All right. So this place is where you tweak like different characteristics of a material or different attributes of a material. So if you still want to see what a preview of what this looks like, I mean you're seeing it in real time, but if you want to see like the preview, you can click this drop down to show you the preview. Okay. So what you want to do is to bring out the metallic nature. You want to reduce the roughness, bring it down. I notice that as I bring down the roughness, the shininess, or the, what's it called now? The I'm trying to remember the word. The glittery effect of the lustrous, lustrous effect of the metal is coming out now. So that's what it does. So the rougher, just a rule of thumb, the rougher an object is, the rougher an object is, the less shiny it is, or the less reflective it is. So reflectiveness or shininess or glossiness is the direct opposite of roughness in Blender or 3D workspace, even Unity or whatever. All right. So whenever you see things like roughness, know that controls how shiny or how reflective the surface of the object is. All right. So first things first, this principled BSDF. You can, with this principles BSDF, it's a node that can enable you to create almost any type of material, whether it's a glass material, a metallic material, I don't know, it's just a plastic or something. It allows you to create any material. It's very easily. All right. So just with this node, okay. So we mentioned that the base color here is like the default color of the object. So maybe you want the object to be blue or something, whatever color. That's what the base color does. All right. So next is the metallic. So if you are trying to change the property, the metallic property of the object, so that's where you tweak it. So if you want it to be a very metallic object, you increase this all the way to 1. If you want it to be a non-metallic object, you reduce it all the way to 0. So now, ideally, professionals will understand that in the world there are 2 types of material. There are metallic objects and there are dielectric. So I think they call them dielectric. Can't remember. Yeah, dielectric. So in the understanding of the real world, an object can either be metallic or non-metallic. There's no in between. That's technically the reality. But of course, in Blender, you can tweak, you can kind of manipulate, but it's not good practice to have like something like half metallic. So Usually you want this metallic figure to be 0 or 1. Is that 0 or 1? Okay, so if you want any other feature, any other properties of it, you tweak the rest of this. Okay, so now I mentioned the roughness is the opposite of the smoothness or the shininess. So the higher the roughness, the less shiny this object will be. So the lower the roughness, the more shiny the object will be. Okay, so IOR is I think index of refraction or something like that. I think that's what it stands for. I can't remember, but I know it has to do with the especially when you're working with transparent objects or translucent objects. It's like the refraction. We know refraction works with things like glass or objects that are transparent. Like, so I don't really know how to explain it that much, except I use it on a glass object basically. But it helps to change like the way light refracts, not reflect now, through a glass or a transparent object. So that's what this IOR factor is used in editing. So it can for, I think for water, for a clear water, I think it's something like 3 or 4, I can't remember, or 4.4, 1.34 or 1. For 1.45 rather, I don't know, something that range, kind of like refractive index, yeah, in physics. So I think that's what this is for. Okay, so now alpha, anytime you see anything alpha in whether in Photoshop, in any graphics related software, it has to do with transparency. Let me mention that again. If you see anything alpha in whether Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, After Effects, whatever the software may be, it has to do with transparency. So not to be confused with like a glass object, not like that, not in that kind of transparency. Transparency in the terms of more like invisibility. I think that's a better way to put it, right? So alpha can range from 0 to 1. All these figures can range from 0 to 1, and this IOR can go as high and as low as possible. But for roughness, every other thing, they range from 0 to 1. Okay, so when the alpha is completely 0, that means the object is completely transparent. Now look at what happened to the cube when I reduce the alpha to 0. Okay, and when the alpha is completely 1, that means the object is completely opaque, meaning it's completely visible, it's not transparent. All right, sorry. So that's basically what it is. So I won't talk too much. I'll just mention quite a few of these other attributes, but these attributes, you might not really use too much of them as often. Their effect is usually subtle, right? So that's why. But however, for this, I will speak more emphatically on transmission and emission. Okay, so for the rest of these ones, okay, maybe I'll talk a bit about diffuse. But this subsurface is like, it helps you to, you know, when you look at your body, when you shine a torchlight through your hand or something like that, you will notice that the light kind of passes through your hand. You can see like the brightness. There's a bright object behind your hand. Okay, it's not like your hand is transparent per se, but however, you can still see light. So that is what tweaking that feature is what you use subsurface for. So subsurface is like adding some form of translucency. Translucent objects is, you know, when you pour oil on a paper or something like that, how the paper not really becomes transparent but translucent, meaning the light can pass through it. You can see the light behind it, but it's not like glass that you can. That's what you use. This one. When this always one, this object, you can't really see the effects in material viewport except in rendered view, because rendered view is where you can see like the behavior of light as light affects the object, right? So I think I mentioned this in previous classes when I was talking about the different views. So when you talk about rendered view, solid view is the one that shows the blocky, everything will be blocky and gray. The material view shows what material is on it. However, there are some properties of some materials that can only be seen when as it pertains to how they behave with respect to light. Sorry. So how they behave with respect to light. So like there's some So if you look at this now, you might not really be able to tell easily if this is a glass or a metal. All right. So, however, whenever if you are working with, if there's light in your scene, you'll be able to, it will help you more easily to tell that difference, right? So because if it's a glass, that means the light will pass through it sort of, and you can see some form of transparency there. But if it's metal, of course, it'll be completely opaque, right? So yeah, so you won't really see those effects in material display here, except you go into rendered view. Now, rendered view will be black. I'll explain why that is in a minute. But let's finish up with this. Okay, are you following me, please? Brian and Da Silva.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, so the rest of these are just like still and a little bit more advanced, but it's still talking about the subsurface, right? How to manipulate the subsurface, how the refractiveness, the refractive nature. Okay, so specular is also has to do with shininess. It has to do with the shininess of the surface, but a lot of this is subtle. The effect is usually subtle or in specific scenarios, so you will not really use it so much unless you want like some very specific details and stuff like that. So I won't talk too much about that. It's a bit advanced. I don't know how to explain it without an example. All right, and that will deviate us. So let me not talk too much about this. Don't worry, you're not missing out on too much, right? So now transmission. Why I needed to talk about this transmission is because transmission is how you create glass using this principle editor. So if you wanted to turn this object into a glass, you increase the transmission all the way to 1 or something. So it does not necessarily have to be 1. Like if you want, some of these glass balls that are somewhat like transparent or like a pebble or a crystal, right? So it's not, some of them are not so clear like that. So this weight, transmission weight, is how you determine how clear the glass will be. So how clear is the glass basically, or maybe something, I don't know, it's up to you. So if you're using transmission, of course, you want to bring your metallic down to 0 because an object cannot be a glass and a metal at the same time. So yeah, so you want to bring your down to 0. Like I said, you will not really see the effect of this in object view. Maybe I should go into, hold on, I'll do something now. Don't worry about that. This is just for you to see the effect properly in rendered view. Where are my materials? Okay, just give me a second and boom. All right, so don't worry about what I did. I'll explain that in maybe if time permits in this class, or if not, then we'll move in the next class. All right, so yeah, let me view this in cycles. Okay, so I'll explain what the two editors. So you can see it's kind of transparent. That glassy rather. It's kind of glassy. I know glasses are usually reflective and transparent at the same time. So you can see through it, but at the same time, the surface is so smooth and shiny that sometimes light bounces off it. So yeah, that's why you can see this glass. It's like a glass prism now. All right, so that's what the transmission does. So transmission all the way to 1 will make it feel very clear glass. Let me put it to a default color. Yeah, so to make it a very clear glass, but as you reduce this, notice that it's becoming like a cloudy glass or something like that. So as it goes all the way to 0, the glass effect has disappeared. So that's basically what transmission is used for. Okay, so codes and machine, I won't talk too much about that. Largely beyond the scope of this class for now. So next is the emission. So if I wanted to make this object, this cube, I want to make it I don't know, I want to make it shiny like a bulb, like I want it to emit light, right? So that's when I use this emission. Okay, and notice that by default it's white, and you can change the color of the emission, but you won't really see the effect no matter the color I change it to. Reason because you have not adjusted the strength. Okay, so the strength will determine how powerful the source of the light is, or the brightness. So let me stop talking and show you. Okay, so by default the strength is 0, meaning there's no emission on it. But if you increase it, you can, this strength can go all the way, as far as I know, all the way to infinity, but you probably will never go anything higher than maybe 1,000. I don't know. Depending on your scene anyways, or what you're creating. So the strength, you can go very high. Notice that as I increase the strength, the object is becoming brighter. Okay, but you really see the effect of the brightness because the scene itself has some form of, it's actually the background is actually light. Let me show you. All right, let me add in a plane. Okay, and maybe scale it out a bit. Add, yeah, you can now, I'm sure you are seeing the effect of the brightness here. Let me add in random things to the scene. So we have a monkey head here. All right, and I don't know, maybe we'll add a cylinder or something. All right, good. So now I'm going to reduce, now there's no background color. Now you can see the brightness, the effect of the brightness, right? So you can, as you reduce it, the brightness will be reducing. That's the strength of the light. As you increase it, the brightness is increasing. Now you might notice that as I make any changes here, there's like a pixelating effect. Then before it normalizes and starts to get sharper or something like that. That's because I'm viewing this in the rendered view. Okay, and I told you that you can only see the effect of lighting in rendered view. Okay, now if you might see it slightly, but you won't really see it properly. You can't judge by that. So if you want to see if you are making any light changes to your, like changes that relate to the light, reflection, shadow, things like that, you want to switch to rendered view so they can see it properly. But the reason why we don't always stay in rendered view is because if you are using a lower powered system, if your system is not so high powered, it can get very laggy very fast, and your Blender will start crashing. And mine is moving smoothly because I don't know, maybe my system can handle it. So if you're using a system that can't really handle that, so you want to keep your workflow to a solid and material. Then when you're ready to render and do the final touches of light, then you can now just switch to light, see how it affects it, go back. Just a tip. All right. So from here, the color, of course, you can change the color of the emission. Let me go back into rendered view so you can see how it affects it in real time. So maybe you want a yellow light. Yeah, so it has changed the color. You want green light. It doesn't matter. You can change the color to whatever. All right. So that's one. Now, with this knowledge alone, you can create basically almost any material that has a very straightforward color, or there's a wide range of materials you can create. You can create a plastic material, can create basically anything metallic and stuff just with this node, right? But there are so many nodes in Blender, so many nodes. I promise you, we can't cover all of them, right? Some of them you discover on your own as you practice, but I will tell you the basics and the major ones. And with that, even with the basics and major ones, you're able to create almost any material you want. And then as you progress, if you need some more complex materials, you can then create them. You can then discover other nodes and stuff, right? So now, one major one I'll tell you about in this class is texture node, right? So notice that on this object, there are like some small buttons here. So I will call them nodes. Those are the actual nodes, but sometimes you can call the entire table nodes too. But basically, these are what I will call the actual nodes, right? So these tiny nodes, like you notice that some of them have different colors, right? Like this tiny small dot here is green. So this one here is yellow. This one is on this side, one's on that side. What are those? So I'll explain that. All right. So if you want to do any connect the nodes together, maybe you added I don't know. Don't worry, I'll explain something. I'll just add some random nodes just to show you some things, right? Maybe textures, image texture, I don't know. Okay, let's say shader, a mixed shader, or glass shader. That's it. All right, so I just added some random nodes here. So don't worry about this about trying to memorize all these type of nodes, as it's usually you get better with it with time. All right, so let's say you see that some of these colors correspond. Like this is a yellow color here. This is also a yellow color here. All right. Whenever you see colors like that, nodes like that with colors that correspond, that means the nodes can connect to each other by default without seamlessly. But if the colors don't correspond, now they might still be able to connect, but the behavior will be it's not going to be what you desire. I promise you, unless you're trying to hack Blender to do something tricky. All right, so for one, when it's can change metallic and
Have we lost him again?
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay. Oh.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, with you.
Yeah, so sorry. I did not even know when I dropped off the call. Please, what was the last thing I was saying when I dropped off the call? I did not know what happened. I did not know what happened. I'm guessing it was the network or something that kicked me off. So please,
I think the
what
only part I got when you you work with different settings. You are working on, I think, Shin. The last time part on that shader editor where you tweak it around
wow.
and
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. So that means I was basically like I was off for like 5-10 minutes and I did not know.
yeah, something like
So sorry about that. So Brian, that's the same thing with you, right? Of course.
Yes, that's the same thing with me.
Ooh, so sorry about that. So sorry. I would like to make this more engaging so whenever something like this happens again, my attention can be called to it on time before we proceed. Okay? So I'm so sorry about that. All right. So I said I was going to share my entire screen so I can explain what materials and shade and textures and maps can be used for, right? So I'll share my entire screen. All right. So in Blender, so I'm trying to locate my materials folder. So I have a folder for material. I have several materials in Blender. So when you want to add a material, so I was talking about like the monkey head now. So we want to make this monkey head a wooden, make it wooden, appear wooden basically. So that's the idea. How do we do that? With on your principal BSDF, you're going to add in a texture node, all right? An image texture node, sorry, an image texture node. So you can either just type it here, image texture, if and search it, or I'll show you how to get it in a minute. Let me just close it. Or the you come to the add here, drop down add, then you now look for texture. Under texture, you have different options type of texture. What you're looking for is the image texture, right? So all these textures they are all textures. What texture mean is that when you add them in, you have the opportunity to add in image maps. All right. So whenever you hear me say maps or using image maps or something like that, basically what it means is a picture. It's basically a picture, but the pictures are usually in like repeated formats, or maybe not necessarily, maybe not repeated, but like they're just flat. All right. So if I wanted to make like a ground floor type of texture, so this is what the map will look like, something like this. All right. If I wanted something wooden or something like that, this is how the map will look like. Maybe just a picture basically. All right. That the entire picture is made of the material you're trying to add, something like this. All right. So that's basically what I mean by maps, and that's what it whenever I add anything that has texture attached to it, maybe image texture, environment texture, whatever texture, it's expecting it to add an image file. So notice that's why I have new open or something like that. So yeah, we want to make this monkey head wooden. So I'll bring this color from the color, right? I'm going to attach this color to the main color here. So notice that it kind of turned black, and it's not actually black. It's just like because I've not specified the kind of picture that I'm adding to it to give it this color. So what am I going to do? I'm going to click on open, and I'm going to navigate to my HDRI. This is on your system, right? It doesn't matter. It will be specific to you. So wherever you saved your, sorry, not HDRI, wherever you saved your materials to when you download the picture online or something. Right, so we just come look for it. For me, I have a wooden object. I have a wood material. So let me just use a random material. I'm going to slap it on it. Notice that the monkey head now looks wooden. All right. So that's basically how to add materials to anything in your Blender. All right. So, but let's go even further, more in depth on this. So it's not just to add in the material. You need to have to create the material to have more to be more maneuverable, so that I can tweak more features, right? So like say for example, you have this cube. Let's say you want the top of the cube to be metallic, the side here to be wooden, this side here to be reflective, this side here to be, I don't know, different materials on a single object. How do you do that? Well, you do that by adding more slots. Okay, so for this particular cube object, what we do is you can come here. By default, the material here is maybe let's call this grain plastic or something. Okay, so this material is green plastic. So we want to add a metallic material to the side here. Let's call it, you just click this plus button to add a new slot for the material, and then you can rename it. You can click on the new and rename it to whatever. So let's say metal. And then, we're adding another one. Let's say this one, we want this place to emit light, like a torchlight. So we call this one, we can add in another one. You can add as many as possible, all right? Let's call this emission. Notice nothing's happened to the object yet. We'll define it in a minute, all right? So emission, want to add something else. Oh, my emission is not correct. So we want to add, I don't know, maybe my picture, or add a picture to the surface. Let's say you can now make this picture. Now, the assignment for this class is that you'll be texturing a project you've done in the past. So which is the first project we did, that's the water bottle, right? So you'll be creating the texture for the water bottle that will make it look completely like the Swan water bottle you modeled. So you add the transparency, the what they call it, the labels and the color for the cap, etc. So make it perfectly to look very perfect, as close to the real thing as possible. Right, so that will be your assignment. Okay. So yeah, we have 4 different material slots now for this object. Now to define where these materials will be. So how to do that is we're going to go into the edit mode of this, and we'll now start assigning each face to which material. So if I go into the edit mode, remember how to go to the edit mode is tapping the tab. Please, can you still hear me? I hope I'm not off again.
Yeah.
Are you with me? All right, good. Okay, good. So what you do is you click on a particular surface. Let's say we want the top to be the green plastic, so it's already green, so let's leave that. But we want this side to be the metallic side, so click on this side. Notice that it has highlighted the side, and then click on the metal here, the material you want to assign it to, and then you click assign. Okay, notice that immediately I clicked assign, the color changed to the default, whatever default the metal is. All right, so but here we want this place to be an emission, to emit light. Okay, so what we'll do is come here to the slot that we named emission, and then we'll click assign. All right, so there's no rule to it. So I want to add my picture to this place, so I'll click on this place and I'll click picture and just click assign. All right, so now it look as though all these sides are the same, but that's because we have not really done any editing on each of the materials. So it's just using the basic default color also. So now let's start with our metal, because we can create that easily. Let's click our metal. Now we're in the metal node editor. Come to this lower part here, and I remember I told us that how to create metals. Okay, let me call on us to be more to engage us on this. So Brian, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so if I want to create a metallic material for this, how do I do that?
A metallic material.
Yep.
Okay. So let me see. I was trying to do that on my end as well.
Okay.
So
perhaps you should just share your screen. I think that might be easier.
all right, I have not achieved what you have done.
No, don't worry. I'll walk you through it.
Let me just share my screen.
All right, good.
All right,
Okay.
let me know once you see my screen. So I was actually even trying to add a wood effect on the monkey head.
Okay.
So that's why I was really stuck. So
yeah, that's great. You have actually done good. Okay. So I like the fact that you've added like a pink texture ish to the cube. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. All right,
So
good.
I've added a pink texture to the cube. I wanted to add a wood effect on the monkey head, just like you've added, and I think that's why I was stuck, because I noticed once I select this and I come to the node selector and I select add and I go to the texture and I select the image texture. So that's where I was a little bit stuck.
Exactly. Yeah, it's expected. So whenever you're adding a texture, all right, a texture you need to have the image of the text, like a picture, right? So I was trying to explain that what you're adding is a texture map. Okay, so this is the node, this node that I just added, the one that says image texture. So that node allows you to slap the image of any picture basically that you have on your computer, saved on your computer anyway. You slap it on the object. It's kind of, and I use the example of you're wrapping a gift, like in a gift box. Okay. So so basically how any 3D software recognizes changing or adding textures or changing the texture, the material of any object, how it recognizes it is like the gift analogy that I made. Okay, so what it will first do is it will take the object itself, it will split it open and make it flat, or like as though it was on a flat surface. I will explain it in a bit. All right. So after it has flattened out all the objects, then it will now take the image, merge it together, and then now reconstruct it, sort of. So that's what UV unwrapping is all about. So that's how the program understands how to wrap different images wrap around your object. Okay. So reason why I was able to add a wooden material to mine was because somewhere on my system I've already downloaded the image, the picture of a wood, basically the picture of a wood, and then I can now add in that picture into this Blender and use it to slap on top of or on the model that I'm trying to change the color. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
So
that means here where I have browse images where I can look for any image that needs to wrap on the monkey head. Is that what you're saying?
No, not really. When I say well, yeah, actually, yeah, in a way you're right, actually. So, but when you click that drop down, okay, notice that what you have there is just two results. It just shows you that it will only list out any form of image that you've already worked with on this particular project file. This particular project. So, and maybe you've added like 3 images, maybe you deleted them or something like that or whatever. It will be recorded in that list. It's like a temporary list, so it will just show you the list of images you've worked with on this so you can reuse those images. Okay, so that's basically what that list is for. So you won't really get anything new or novel from that list. So now if you want, do you have any picture on your laptop or your computer?
In terms of just any picture?
Any picture, whatever.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So that picture, so what you do is if you click on the open button,
on the open button,
you will just navigate on your computer to anywhere the picture is, any picture that you want to use. Right? It's totally up to you.
Okay, so I will use this one.
Okay, feel free. So now you have that. So now connect the color node to the base color node. From the color node from the image texture to the base color on the principled BSDF.
Okay, that is done.
Okay, good. Now, you notice that nothing happened, right?
Yes.
Now, reason why that nothing appeared to have happened is because the slots that you added, that you are making this that you are creating this material on, that slot is not assigned to any surface. Okay, so how to do that is you can shortcut way to do that, to assign everything, is you just delete the material slot. Look at in the materials that you have. Go to the right panel there.
Yes, I'm on the right.
Yeah, you see the list of the materials you have. You see something like material 001.
001 and material 002.
Good. So the what you just created now is on material 002, and material 002 is not assigned to any surface. All right. So to do that, to make it as assigned to the monkey head, you can delete the slot for material 001. So just click on material 001 and click on the minus. Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me explain what happened. Okay, so you don't, so it's not like it might, or it will always work like that way. Okay, so what happened is by default, before an object can be rendered, it must have a material in Blender. That's how Blender understands it.
Okay.
So if it does not have a material, Blender will automatically assign a default material to it, something like a placeholder. All right. So that's why you notice if you are in rendered view or if you are in material view, for an object that you have not added anything to, it will appear like white, basically. So that's like the default material for Blender. Okay. That being said, now in the list of the material slot that are under that object. So when you click on the monkey head, it will show you all the materials that are on the monkey head, basically. So what you had there, you had two materials on the monkey head.
Yes. So we have to remove one.
So, well, no, you don't have to remove it. But basically, what it means is you have two materials. So the first material by default will automatically be the material that the whole monkey head will assume.
Okay.
The whole monkey head will assume that material. But think of a situation where you're trying to create a more specific kind of material. Let me share my screen so I'll show you what I mean. Can you stop sharing?
All right, let me stop sharing.
All right, good. All right, so maybe I'll hide everything here. Let me hide this. All right, so we have the monkey head now. So this is our monkey head. What if I want to create eyes for the monkey head? Maybe I want the eyes to be like a laser, maybe like a demigod or a god, something that the eyes is glowing or something, glowing red hot or something. And I want the nose to be pink. I want the ears to be red or something like that. So how do I do that? Notice that what I just did was I added the material, but the whole monkey head assumed that material. But now I want to be able to specifically pick out which part of the monkey head has this material and that material, right? So that's when I will need to be adding slots. So that's what I was trying to explain. Okay. So are you hearing me? Are you with me, Brian?
Yes, I'm with you. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good. So so for one, I've added two material. Let me add one material. Let's say, I said I wanted the eyes to be like glowing hot or something like that.
Yes.
So I'm going to add this, like maybe call this eyes or something. All right. So I said I wanted the nose to be pink. So I'm going to add a new material, call it nose. You can call it whatever. There's no rule to this. Okay. So now when I'm going to select the eyes. Now I'm going to come to the monkey head and I'm going to go into edit mode. All right. Notice how to, you can click here to go to the object mode or edit mode. It's basically like a viewport. So now, in edit mode, make sure that nothing is selected. Absolutely nothing is selected. Then you can now click the face select mode, face select 2. Then you now select all the faces that are associated with the eyes. Okay. So shift select, or you can just press tap C on your keyboard, the letter C. Let me see if I can bring up screencast. Oh, screencast can show in this. Yeah, okay, it's showing here. All right, good. So I'm going to tap C, the letter C for cat. And notice that when I tap C, there's like a small circle that appeared around my mouse.
Yes.
Okay. So you can scroll in and out to make the circle bigger, and that shows how the region of influence that you can select an object, right? So, so if I tap C, it will appear. Like if I right click, it will disappear, right? So if I tap C, I can now select everything that I want to select with just one click. I can hold down the click and be selecting, all right? So that's just like a faster way of selecting things. So now I'm selecting the eyes. Selecting more of the eyes. So once I have only the eyes selected, please, it's important to know that only what you want to change should be selected, right?
Selected, yes.
So we've selected the eyes. Now you come to this material slot and click on the slot that you created, that you named eyes. All right. You click on that, and then you assign that. So basically, what you're doing is I'm selecting all these faces and I'm assigning all these faces to this material slot. So meaning everything that is being selected will become this material. That's basically what you're doing. Right. So I'm going to click on assign now. I notice that immediately I click assign, the face changed, the eyes changed color, right? So, but I said, but this is not enough for me. Let me go into maybe render view or something. Maybe just add some small material. All right, good. So, don't worry about why my background is looking like a photo studio or something like, and it's bright. I will explain that later when I'm talking about rendering, probably, or maybe now, if there's time. So, the eyes is white, but I wanted the eyes to be shiny and to be glowing like a god, right? So this what I'm going to do is, remember I said to add emission to an object, or to add the glowing effect to an object. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good. I heard the noise. I thought I was disconnected. All right, good. So to add an emission to an object, you come to this emissions under your in the previous and you click the drop down to bring it up. And now change the how bright the emission you want the emission to be. So maybe you want it to be the color, maybe you want it to be a red. Do you want the eyes to be red or something? You click on the red and we cannot increase the strength. Yeah, you can see that the eyes are glowing red now.
Okay.
All right, so that helps you to like create different attributes of a particular object. Excuse me. So different attributes of a particular object. Maybe you want the ear to be this, or a part of the object to be this, a part of the object to be that. So that's how you do that. Okay, so maybe you want, I don't know, yellow or whatever, green, some spooky colors. So basically that's how to do that. All right, and also you mentioned that I wanted the nose to be pink. So let's go back into our material tab. So the nose now we're done with creating the eye. So let's click on the nose. Now we have to define all the areas that we want to make.
Yeah.
Right. So the same way we do that, go into tab, you come to the nose, all right, and then you can actually select all the faces one by one, or you look for a fastest way to do that. Maybe you use the C to create a C select, and then you can just select all the faces. So take your time with this. So once you have everything selected, make sure only what you want to change is selected. This is important. All right. So now I think we have all the nodes selected. And yeah, so now we're going to click on, make sure you are clicking on the nose. So now the nose is highlighted. This nose is selected here. You are going to now click what? Assign. So once you assign it, notice that the nose also changed color to a default gray color, or grayish white, basically. And then you can now change the nose to work whatever color you want. So maybe you can do the same thing here, maybe pink or something, or you can do it here. You click on it here and change it to, I don't know, pink. It's up to you. All right, so yeah, I think this pink looks okay for me. All right, so it's as simple as that. All right, so now you know how to assign the different materials to different parts of the object. Okay.
Yeah.
So what if?
Okay.
Yeah, ask your question, please.
Okay, so basically now what I understand when you are talking about now assigning the metallic, first of all, you need to add a material, assign it, and then now on the node section where we have the principled BSDF is where now you mess with the metallic section where you add the numbers. That is basically it. So for the cube, you have to select the face and then be able to assign that and make that happen. So I think now I get it now. Okay.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic.
Understood.
Okay, good. So Dassiv, I believe you understand also. You mentioned that you had some experience with Blender, so I don't think this should be that's why I was not focusing the questions on you. Da Silva. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just proceed then.
Okay.
Brian, okay. All right, so
Yeah.
all right, good, excellent. So Brian, you get the point now, right?
Yeah. Yes. Now I get.
Yeah.
So
I do.
now
I was actually following the class as well until my network. It was just showing that you are presenting, but nothing was displayed. But I
okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I think everybody has been experiencing network issues for a while. It's general, okay? All right, so Brian, I mentioned that I wanted to create for this cube. Notice that yes, it's a very important. Notice that when I click the monkey head, we have like just 3 materials that are that we've created here. But when I click on the cube, you remember that I created 4 materials in the past. That's the green plastic, the metal, emission, and picture. So once I click the tube, the list here changes. All right, so that's just something to hold in mind. So now I said I wanted to add a picture. So I think this side is the side that the picture is supposed to be on. So I'm going to click on picture. Okay, and I said to add a picture or a map to your object, you are going to use the image texture, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'll press Shift A and look for texture, and image texture. Okay, if you don't need to memorize where it is. If you don't know where it is, you can, but you know the name of what you're looking for, so you can just search it. Same way, image, and it's to bring out the texture. Not to be confused with image sequence. Okay, so yeah.
Okay.
All right, so once you have that, then you can now open. When you want to click open, it will give you like a Windows navigator or a file explorer, basically, that you can navigate to where whatever image you want to use, where it is on your keyboard. All right. So maybe let's use this Tom and Jerry meme. Okay, and then you now connect this color to base color. All right. So immediately I added that. Notice that the image added here, but it's not like in the correct orientation, and it's kind of like zoomed out or something. It's not really in the way I desire. And that will take us to the next topic that we're talking about, which is UV unwrapping. Okay.
Okay.
So this is how UV unwrapping works. It's basically like you're wrapping a gift box in Blender, a gift box in the real world. All right. You have like a flat. Let's assume. Let me hide this too. This one and this one. So what we have now is just the cube. Okay. Imagine this plane here is like what do you call it? It's like the wrapper, the gift box wrapper, right? A gift wrapper. So if you wanted to wrap this cube up with this gift box wrapper, how you do it is, of course, you take this side and you flip. Let me do some I don't know. I'm just trying to show you what I made properly. So the way you do that is something like you take these places and then you rotate them maybe on the x-axis, something like this, right? That's how you wrap an object, right? If you wanted to wrap an object in the real world, I'm talking of the real world, basically. So the same way is how you would do is how do you add a material or define how a material is wrapped onto an object in Blender. And how do we do and where do we do that? We do that in the UV editor. Okay, so how do we first of all, before we do that, let me go into the 3D defaults scene. Okay, so first things first, before you can wrap in an object, you have to unwrap it first. Now, by default, Blender, usually objects are unwrapped, but if it's not, this is how you do it, right? So you select the object itself, okay? You press the U. Sorry, you have to be in the object edit mode. Sorry, I forgot about that. So you have to be in edit mode. Okay, so you select all the faces. A to select everything. Let me bring up screencast keys. Okay, good. So now you select A, you press A to select everything. Okay. Once you have everything selected, then you now press the U button on your keyboard, and then to bring up unwrapping options. All right. So now there are quite a few options that can help you. Now they all do the same thing, but it's just how they do them that is slightly different. So Under this, when you press you look for this unwrap. Now it comes to this unwrap, and depending on how you want to unwrap it, that's what will either of these options will be. Sorry, either of these options will be. So if your object is a cube object, you will likely want to unwrap using like the cube projection, like it to make it more accurate or better, right? So if it's like a cylindrical object, you want to use like a cylindrical projection. But it doesn't matter. They all do the same thing. All right. So smart UV or unwrap. So if you press U and I don't know, Q projection, you notice that well, this has corrected sort of, but that was actually by accident. But I will explain what happened. You notice that it's as though nothing really happened per se. You're not seeing the effect here. So where you will see that effect here is in the UV
editor.
UV editor, exactly. So if I click on the UV editor, all right, so you notice that it's like it's automatically created a new interface for me. So now this left side is the UV editor itself. This right side is our default 3D viewport. All right, so let me go into material view so you can see how the material affects this thing in real time. Okay, so if you notice the object is not properly mapped or something like that, you select that face that is not mapped. Okay, or you can select everything if you like, but I mean, it's better you select the face that is not mapped. Then once you select that face, you notice that it's like a face is selected here. This is like a 2D workspace, right?
Mm-hmm.
A face is selected here, and so you can now properly adjust it, and you can see how it's affecting the object in real time. So adjust it to fit your object properly. Maybe come here. What I'm just pressing is G to move around. Okay, it's the same thing as coming here. You just press the okay. So of course that should not be news. So now that I've done that, notice that it's kind of like mirror reversed. Okay, it's like mirror reversed. So we'll probably need to correct that also. So what we do is you can just grab this. Now I'm showing you the long way of doing that. So grab this, move this to this side, then grab the other arm and like flip it. Okay, it's kind of like you are taking
it's like you're twisting it. Yeah,
exactly. So you can just come here, do that, okay, and then flip this here, and now the mirror has been corrected. Okay, now that's one way to do it. That's like what is actually happened. But I mean, if you want to streamline your workflow, you just press you select everything, you can right click, okay, you can mirror on the x-axis. That means you mirror from left to right, or right to left rather. You mirror it on the left axis, or you can mirror on the y-axis. That's like up to down, from the top to bottom, meaning to turn upside down or the vice versa. Okay, so that's basically what's happening. All right, so that's like another bit. Yeah, so yeah, so basically that's it about unwrapping. Now, unwrapping objects can get very complex. Okay, it's a whole scope on its own. It's like a whole topic on its own, unwrapping. But I want to introduce you to the basic idea so that you can understand how the new textures you're adding are affecting this object. So to make this more this cube make more sense, okay, I'm going to build a small house basically now in Blender, and I'm going to add a cube, a brick effect to it, so you can see some a form of situation where you likely want to apply this knowledge. All right, so let's say just don't worry about my work. I will try to be a bit faster. Okay. I may not explain very detailedly. So something like this. Yeah, this is our first wall. Let me bevel this. We'll have something like this. And yeah, I'm just trying to create a wall. So I extruded, what I just did was to extrude the faces. All right, so I want another face here. So I'm going to extrude a little bit more. Good, something like this. Now, watch something I'm going to do. I don't think I've talked about this in the previous class. So I'm going to delete these faces and try to merge them so I will have like a pen, like a pig pen, or basically like a square, something like that. So I'm going to take these two faces. Notice I selected this. And I'm going to press X and I'm going to delete faces. Make sure you are deleting only faces. If you delete edges, it's going to make, or if you delete edges or vertex is going to mess up the whole thing. So faces, right? So now that it said faces, notice that it's kind of hollow, right?
Mhm.
So what I will now do is this: I'll take two edges. I'll make sure I'll be in the edge select mode. Take the two edges that are opposite each other, edge one, and hold shift, select another edge. Now I will fill in the edge. Now, when you are filling in between two edges, a face will automatically be created. Once you are filling in between two vertices, an edge will automatically be created. Okay, so you don't need to memorize that. You'll find that as you practice. Okay, so I just selected this edge one and edge two, and I'm going to press F on my keyboard. F is the shortcut key for fill. All right, so if you press F, it's automatically going to create a face. Okay, now you can actually just select these ones and do the same and press F again and then do that until you finish the whole everything. But the fastest way to do the faster way to do this is you have this is why it's important to make sure that your modeling is having four-sided faces. All right, if your faces are four-sided like this, notice that everything I'm modeling here is kind of restricted to four-sided faces, each of the individual units. So if you have something like that if your modeling takes that pattern, you can just select only the edge, the next edge close to it, and you press even without selecting the remaining edge, you press F. Now let me delete the faces again, so so you see how this works properly, how fast this can make a workflow. So all the faces are deleted now. So I'm going to go to edge. I'm going to create the first face, all right, the normal way. Select edge one, select edge two, and press F, right? Now the edge has been created. So I'm now going to click on one edge and press F. Now I won't have to click on any other edge. I'll just press F. It will automatically create the next face. If I press F again, it will create the next face. Let me hide this plane so you can see what's going on. All right, so let me do that again. F here, that's created this face. F again, that's created this face. F again, that's created this face. So it's no matter how big your object is, it will just keep creating the faces that are logically the next faces. Okay, so that's why it's important to have your modeling in quads, in four-sided faces, right? So yeah, because four-sided faces, Blender is able to recognize the face I'm trying to fill. All right, so that being said, we have a cube here. Okay, so this my pen is looking weird because this side is thicker than the other side. So I'm just going to make it reduce this side. So maybe just select this face and bring it inward a bit. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now I want to make this like brick construction as though it was made with brick. How do I do that? I come down to this material place and create a new material. I'm going to name this brick. So let's go into the shading editor so I can see what we're doing properly. All right, so we're in the shader editor now. So now I'm going to, you can, in Blender, there's a shortcut way of adding texture. So if you can click on this one and go, notice that there's like a plus icon that's appeared to, I'm holding down the click button, okay? There's a plus icon. So immediately you release the click, it's going to bring options of possible things that you can add. So you can just type in what you want to add. Okay, so maybe image texture. What they're adding is an image texture. So I'm just going to click that and it will automatically be added. All right, so that's how Blender helps to streamline, make your workflow faster. All right. So somewhere on my keyboard, or sorry, somewhere on my system, I have the picture of a brick saved. So I'm going to navigate to that place and I'm going to use that. All right, so I'm going to open. I'm going to go to my materials where I have it saved, which is don't worry about this. Where is it saved? Okay, so let's look for bricks. I have it somewhere. I can't find my bricks. I think it's red bricks or something. Yeah, red bricks. Okay, so now this is the bricks I have. Notice that it's the same bricks, but it has different colors. So this one is like blue, this one. So I'll explain what those are. Those are like map types, right? So I'll explain that. Hopefully, if we have some more time, I'll explain why there all these other type of colors are also important, right? So this is the color one, the one that's like looks like the brick. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and yes, it's looking terrible, but as expected, actually. It's looking terrible, and reason for that is the unwrapping. You know, the unwrapping I explained the other time. So if I go into the UV editor, okay, and you see that let me select all the faces, so it's bring all faces. Now it's the way it is mapping in the faces that are unwrapped here is looking very terrible. Like it's not so bad. It's not so good actually. So what I want to do is I want to unwrap it. That means I want to unwrap it again in the proper way. So what I'll do is I'll press the U button here. Okay, while everything is selected, I'm going to press U. I'm going to go to now I will just use light map for now. Light map, what light map does is it will take all the faces that you have, and it's going to separate all of them as though you are trying to arrange a shelf, like just going to place them side by side. All right, so that's like default way, but for now it can work in some cases. Like this instance it will work, but it might not give you the results in some other instances. All right, so I'm clicking light map, and you just click OK. There's no really too much issue about this, so just click OK. And when I click light map, now everything looks kind of okay, kind of okay, but we'll still see that there are a lot of problems. Like on this side now, for example, the cubes, the bricks are on the side, instead of like they're supposed to be. Let me show you what I mean. This face, this is it here. Okay, so if I rotate this maybe 90 degrees, okay, this is how the bricks are supposed to be, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now I can either manually start doing that one by one, maybe rotate this 90 degrees, or I can try to unwrap it in a different way. Okay, so but for now, just for illustration purposes, I'll just do it manually. Let's say, okay, no, or better still, right? You can unwrap it again, but you unwrap it based on the faces that you want to have a particular orientation. So I'll select all the faces on this side. Okay, I'll unwrap them, and maybe I don't know, cube projection. Let's use cube projection. All right, so notice that all of them are kind of seamless now.
Yes.
I'll do the same for this side. Okay, this side, sometimes this kind of thing is just discretionary, so it doesn't really, it's based on whichever one works. There's no rule to it particularly, so whichever one works for your situation, by all means go ahead, because I'm sure in some form or way, if I select everything here and unwrap it as a cube, like cube projection, it will sort of fix my problem, I'm guessing, because this object looks something like a cube. So it will sort of fix my problem, I'm guessing. I don't know really. I really don't know. Right. So yeah, I actually did. So notice that all the faces are kind of like properly oriented now. Something like that. All right, so I can work with that. Now, just a side note, if you want this, you can, of course, because we're in UV editor, you can, whatever you do to it will affect how it is being mapped. So if you want to increase this, notice that as you scale this upward, it's kind of like tiling and making the density, something like that. So that's up to you, depending on how you want it. So for me, I think the pen is okay like this. For me, this is just for me, all right? Just an example. So yeah, basically that's how to create a material, all right? So now I can brag that I created a house made of bricks. I don't know, just saying. Yeah. All right, so so that's basically all the major thing about the materials. Now I think we're out of time, so I would have loved to talk about how you can push your photorealism of this material. Now, because if you come close now, it's looking like it's almost very obvious that it looks like as though you took a poster of a brick and then you slapped it on the wall.
Yeah.
All right. Exactly. It doesn't have that depth and that crevice. The crevice is the like the reflection, the proper features of that material. It's not really displayed in this in what we've done properly. So probably in the next class, I'll explain this in depth. So creating materials in Blender can be very versatile. Like there's so much. Your creativity is your limit. All right. So I'll be creating a lot more materials in Blender, and you, of course, you'll understand more techniques in creating materials like that. So, but for now, the class is coming to an end, so I'll be wrapping up now. So for the assignment, all right, Brian.
Yeah.
So for the assignment, what I want you to do is to texture. Da Silva, are you also hearing? What I want you to do is to texture the water bottle, the water bottle you made in the first class. That's the Swan water bottle. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to show you what I mean. Entire screen. Okay, so yeah, the water bottle, the Swan water bottle. What I want you to do, okay, is to texture it. That means you're going to be adding. So I'm going to give you some tips, okay? So the water bottle you made, the aspect for the label here, okay, you are going to be using the an image texture for that, okay?
Okay.
However, every other thing you can use the default. You can just use the principal shader to create like a glass. The concept is you can create something like a glass. So remember how to do that with transmission stuff. So you create a glass, and then of course you adjust the clarity. Now notice that the surface is kind of shiny also, or of some sort. Then you want to reduce the roughness of that. Okay, make it until you get the desired shiny level that you want. Now for the cap, the same thing. You create a blue material for it, and yeah, just do something. Not necessarily you don't necessarily have to go over the top, but I just want to see you assign materials to the bottle that you created specifically. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So yeah, for now that's all for this class. I look forward to seeing what you do with this. So I'll be seeing you on Saturday, I believe. Yes. Saturday's class. All right. So yeah, Brian, I think you were the only one I saw your assignments on the
Yes.
Da Silva, did you submit? I didn't see your assignment, Da Silva.
Yeah, I think I did. My system was having issues. I'm scanning it now, though. The hard drive has been failing, sort of. So I've been scanning it all day. Though I use my other system to work on this current class today. But hopefully,
Okay.
once I'm done with this scan, I'll be able to like submit them together.
All right. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. All right. That's good. All right. No problem. So yeah,
So
just if
for
you
mine,
can.
so mine I submitted. I only got stuck on where to. I managed to put the cube at the middle, and then I also managed to make the stairs spiral. Now I know
Yeah.
the next thing was to add now the stairs rails, the one that we
Yeah.
normally place our hands, and then of
Yeah.
course the supporting beams. That is where I
Yeah.
got stuck. Of course, my week has been busy. I wish I had more time. I would have,
Yeah.
done some research and submitted.
Exactly.
But I managed to submit that. But I think it's just a matter of more time, more practice, and we'll get there. So that's what I managed to submit. And I also wrote on the
Exactly.
email that I kind of struggled to manage to add that bezel, so I did not add it eventually. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. That's actually a good job. It's a great attempt. I'm impressed. My week, I should also apologize because I have been impossibly busy this week. Notice I was saying very few things on the group, and I even said I was supposed to give you another assignment this week, but I ended up
Yes.
scrapping that because I was so busy. I could not. I was working night, day, and I had so many projects on hand, plus my full-time job and everything. So yeah, so I sorry about that. Now that we know about materials, the next assignments are going to be a little bit more difficult, more robust. So we're going to like exponentially from this end. So
Okay.
from now on, there's no any assignment I give you, you will not send anything to me without texturing it or without adding materials and textures to it. Okay,
Understood.
so from that, it will be like a build on the knowledge of the things we've been doing in the past. Yeah, but don't worry. I don't want to spoil the surprise.